What's up, everybody? Just wanted to react to Dez Bryant getting released by the Dallas Cowboys here and some other receiver news this week. Just wanted to get a little take out there. Let's start with Dez. Gets released from the Cowboys, really unproductive the last couple years, just not on the same page with Dak Prescott. Just the skill sets don't really mesh there. Big contract. I totally understand why Dallas released him. I personally thought they were going to renegotiate a smaller deal. Dez probably not willing to do that, so it does seem that money is going to be important to him when he makes his decision here. Now let's talk about what his decision is going to be and what I think it could be. I put out a list on Twitter, but I really think it's going to come down to 3 teams. You know, I think the 49ers would be a good fit and they have the money to do it. But that said, they have shown no interest in free agent wide receivers, and I don't necessarily think that's going to change now. You know, they had no interest in Allen Robinson, Sammy Watkins. I don't know why that would be much different with Dez Bryant. So I think the 49ers would be the 3rd team on this list. Second would be Carolina. You know, I think of Kelvin Benjamin back a couple years ago, a good fit with what Cam Newton does, just throwing that deep ball, letting the receivers go up and get those good, hard-throwing balls that Cam Newton can throw. I think that'd be a good fit in that offense. I believe they have the cap space to do it, and I think Dez would want to go there, which, let me be clear, I think that's also really important. He's not just about the money. I truly believe that Dez Bryant is one of the all-time great competitors in the league right now. He wants to win, but he wants to be well compensated to do that. So I think those 2 things are going to have to be there. And, you know, apparently stormed out of the building and said, I can't wait to play you guys twice this year. Well, if you look at the division, you know, really only one team in the division would make any sense, and that's Washington. But they did just give a big contract to Paul Richardson out of Seattle, kind of a similar type of athlete, at least. Not nearly the player that Dez Bryant is. I'm not going to say it's a bad fit for Washington. I think it could happen, but reports are they're not interested right now. And Philadelphia, it's just not going to happen there. They've got Alshon Jeffrey. You know, they just don't have the money to do it. And then New York, people think he's going to go and play with Odell Beckham. Come on, that might be one of the worst fits in the whole league. They've got Odell Beckham. They've got the red zone guy, Evan Ingram. They still have Brandon Marshall there, by the way, and they haven't released him, so they seem to think he can still play. They've got Shepard. I mean, come on, what are they going to do with Dez Bryant? So who do I think he's going to sign with? And you can probably tell by my thumbnail there that I feel pretty good about this one. And some of you guys know that my allegiances do lie with the Packers. I try to avoid bias as much as I possibly can on this channel. I think I do a good job of that. But seriously, the fit is there. The interest is most likely going to be there. You know, I think of the Packers trying to sign Allen Robinson. Robinson saying to the media that he was between Green Bay and Chicago, who had both offered him what he was looking for. So Green Bay wants another big-time receiver. They have the cap space to do it. They have about $16 million right now, so they might have to move some things around. You know, maybe Cobb restructures, or worst case scenario, they release Cobb. As a Packer fan, I don't want that to happen. I really like Randall Cobb for the culture there. But financially, they could make it happen. 3 years, $33 million, I think, is about what you're looking at for Dez Bryant. Dez has witnessed firsthand in the last few years what Aaron Rodgers does for a team. He has issued some just heartbreaking defeats to that Cowboys team. So I think it all adds up where he's going to go to Green Bay. And as a Packer fan, I'm very excited for that. I hope it happens. But again, you know, Carolina, San Francisco, I could totally see as well. So then real quick, some other receiver news this week. Jarvis Landry signs a big extension, 5 years, $75 million. Man, that's a lot for Jarvis Landry, who is a slot wide receiver. But surprisingly, I don't hate the contract. Cleveland has all the money in the world right now, and he is going to be very healthy for whatever rookie quarterback they bring in. He gives them a magnet underneath, a check down security blanket who can really extend after the catch. Now, 3, 4, 5 years from now, when things are more settled down in Cleveland, Cleveland's going to look back on this contract and probably regret it then. But, you know, for a team that just wants to get some stability going here, I think it makes sense. I don't think they needed to give him 5 years, though. That's a lot. But the funny thing about that contract that I will add, and I know I made a whole video ripping on the Rams and that Brandon Cooks trade, but this just makes that Cooks trade even worse for the Rams, because now Brandon Cooks has all the freaking leverage in the world. They need to get a deal done. The Rams do, because They just traded a first-round pick for him. If they don't re-sign him, that's going to be a terrible look. Say what you want, but you can't just let Brandon Cooks leave, and Brandon Cooks' agent is going to know that. So Cooks is going to get probably a 5-year, $80 million contract, which is way more than it's worth. That's why the Patriots let him go. They didn't want to pay him near that. You know, he's a really good deep threat, don't get me wrong. But now that they're going to have to pay him that much money, I mean, I would so much rather go out and sign like Ted Ginn or John Brown to play that deep threat role, keep your first-round pick, and save a ton of cap space. I would even rather sign Paul Richardson for what he got than have to pay Cooks what he's going to get. And then the last bit of receiver news here is Cameron Meredith to the Saints. You know, I don't understand this move by the Bears. That's a really good contract. It's like a 2-year, $10 million deal, which if you look at the deals receivers are getting, I mean, Albert Wilson got 3 years, 25. You're telling me Cam Meredith isn't worth a shot on a 5-year deal for a couple of years? It's the kind of move that Super Bowl winning teams make. You think of the Eagles going out and getting some cheap contracts to fill out their depth chart, and that's exactly what the Saints are doing here with Cam Meredith. They needed another receiver there. Michael Thomas is great, but Willie Snead hasn't really turned into anything. And Ted Ginn, I think, is still there, but he's just a deep threat. They need another guy to distract defenses, and they got it in Cam Meredith. That could end up paying huge dividends, especially this year. So lots of receiver news. Wanted to react. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. We're less than 2 weeks away from the NFL draft, baby. I'm fired up. Peace out. We'll see you next time.